And thank you, of course, David, and to everybody for this conference. What happened in 1978, 1980 in Iran was not only a regime change from the Shah to Islamic Republic, it was also a revolution. One of the problems of this revolution is that it was not recognized by the US, but exactly like China. And the problem is that today we have to consider again not only the Islamic Republic, but what was the starting point of this revolution. In which way Iran can be seen today, even if there is a new regime change, what is remaining. I would like to point out the main ideas, facts, debates that are now rooted in Iran, even if the Islamic Republic collapses. Today, these basic ideas, expectations, and dreams of the revolution are back again in the political debate in Iran. Because for the first time, the USA have recognized the Islamic Republic of Iran after 30 years. So we have to see what is this Islamic Republic of Iran. Where does it come from? The second thing is that these ideas, these dreams, expectations, revolution are back again in the internal debate in Iran, and most of the candidates to the next presidential elections call themselves principalists. They are going back to the principle, to the basic facts of the revolution, in the things that they were thinking when they were 20 years old. Is it just nostalgia, a dream, or revival of the strong-rooted, sustainable ideas of the revolution? We have to remind that revolution was not only Islamic, and I will use the term Iranian revolution and not Islamic revolution. On the beginning, it was revolution intellectual, leftist, ordinary people, and of course, Islamist. And we have to remember that the motto of Iran is Istiqlal Azadi Jamhuri Islami, and we have to add maybe Idarat Ijtimai, independence, liberty, Republic Islamic, and social justice. So we have to now to see in which way Iran is a new country, and to find a balance between three main points. One, Iran as a nation, Iran as an Islamic state, Iran as a country inside the international community. Iran first is a republic. That's the main change since the revolution. A republic, it means that, of course, Iran is a democracy, but you know, in France, we had to wait 70 years before being a republic after the French Revolution. So, of course, things are going on. But we have to take into account the fact that in Iran, people want to have their own power. The popular power exists in Iran, and if you don't give the people the power, people are not happy and are fighting against you. So the fact that the people have got the power, people are demonstrating in the streets, is a major issue, and even with regime change, this remains in Iran. This new power of the political power of the people can be seen, of course, in all fields in Iran, in cultural life, in councils, in debates, in journals, and in the struggle for liberty. The second point, I think, sustainable rooted legacy of the revolution is social justice and the power of Mustafa Fund. We have to remind that in the beginning, the revolution in Iran was socialist one. And the leftist ideas were strong in the constitution of Iran. It is still strong. Social justice is one of the main points that are sustainable in Iran, and one of the best successful consequences of that was the election of Ahmadinejad, who has inherited of this Mustafa Fund and social justice policy for the better or the worse. That's something else. We have also to take into account the fact that in Iran there is a new elite. This new elite is coming not from the former Qajar bourgeoisie, not coming from the bourgeoisie made by Reza Shah, but coming from the small cities and the villages of Iran. Not the villages, the small cities. And so these newcomers are a new elite now after 30 years. They have no international experience, they are newcomers, but they have got the power. And so we have to deal with them, whatever the regime is in Iran. Another important point, it was focused this morning about ethnic issues. Ethnic diversity in Iran is no longer a matter of independence, but it's just a tool to get more power inside the central state of Iran. The Kurds don't want to be independent. They want the share of oil. They want the power in Tehran. And that's something completely new. the Baluch, the Azeris, the Kurdish, the Turkmens, they want to use fully the Article 15 of the Constitution giving them the right to speak in their own language. And that's a major issue also we have to see in Iran. And so using ethnic diversity as a political leverage is, I think, a mistake. New rooted fact, new legacy of the revolution or the history of Iran the last years, the local power and the empowerment of local powers. Since 1999, local councils are elected in cities and villages. We have got in Iran, they have got a lot of elections for the Majlis. And now in every provinces, people are rooted. People have built up their own constituency. So local power now is able to challenge central power. The new debate between not the ethnic population living in the suburbs of Iran, but between the people of all the local identities in the city, in Iran, and central power. Things have changed. And this geographical question is very important. I'm a geographer and try to see what is this local power, in which way the people of Isfahan, of Tabriz, of Shiraz can challenge central power or can be a new balance of power. Another important thing was the Iraq-Iran war. Iraq-Iran war was the first war conducted by the people, by the army of Reza Shah. This army was done by the Shah, but it was never used inside Iran. And so, as a nation, Iran was for the first time, thanks or because of the Republic Islamic, in spite of the Islamic Republic, but Iran did that. During 8 years, the people of Iran were defending their homeland. And that's something new to understand what is Iran doing today. As a matter of fact, the unity of Iran has been done. Of course, the people of Baluchistan, of Kurdistan, were not fighting inside the Pasdaran and the Revolutionary Guards or the army. But they were there, and most of the people of Iran were fighting for their homeland. So the geographical and political unity of the country is much more stronger now than it was previously. So these legacies of the revolution is that now there is a stronger demand for democracy, for liberty, for social justice, for welfare, and for a strong Iran inside the Middle East. The second point is Iran in the Muslim world. Of course, this new fact was very important since it was a major change. But behind this curtain of revolution of Islam, we didn't see what Iran was doing behind it. And the problem of Islamic Iran is that it was a way to hide what was going on. All Iran, since the last 30 years, is analyzed through Islamic glasses. And so I think it is one of the biggest mistakes. But we have to take into account the fact that Iran is an Islamic state. But something important is that when Islam became a great power, why was it? Because the intellectuals, the leftists, the liberals, when they started the revolution in 77, 78, there were about 10,000 people demonstrating in the street to have a concert of recitation of poems of Shamlou on that time, on the Goethe Institute. 10,000 people in a country of 50 million inhabitants. It was not enough. And so Islam was a way to bring democracy in Iran, to bring the republic in Iran. 3 million people in the streets was something, and the Shah was toppled down by these people. And so there is a sort of marriage between the leftists, the liberals, and Islam. Of course, at international level, the attempt of Iran to promote Islamic revolution all over the world failed. But we know that they had two very important successes in southern Lebanon with the Hezbollah and about the Israelo-Palestinian conflict. The Israelo-Palestinian conflict and Hezbollah are not strategic issues for Iran, but they are very important in the framework of the Muslim world. It is a passport to be able to speak in this Muslim world. If you are not against Israel, you cannot speak in the Muslim world. So Iran had to be against Israel to have its own constituency in the Islamic world. But we have to take into account that Iran has got also other components in its own identity. So what is the legacy of this Islamic identity of Iran? The first one is that the direct participation of the clerics in political issues. The mullahs are trained now to rule a country of 70 million inhabitants. They are working in UN, they are working in policy, in nuclear issue, in economy, in agriculture, in culture, in all fields. The experience the mullahs had acquired, get in Iran, is incomparable. The mullahs of Iran are the most modern clerics in the world. The most modern. They have the experience of 30 years of dealing with a state. And so this experience cannot be destroyed. So for the future, the experience, the network of the mullah will remain, and that's an important thing. The second important point is that Iran will never abandon, of course, the success they had in southern Lebanon, in the Shia communities, and of course in Syria, in Sudan, in all the countries where we are speaking about this morning and this afternoon about that. In all these countries, all these places where Iran has invested during these last 30 years, of course, Iran will never abandon it. But the way to be in touch with Syria or with Sudan, it could be something else than weapons or terrorist attacks. The third point, third legacy of this Islamic Iran, is that now Iran is facing a return of the actions they had. Iran was proactive until now, but now we are looking at the Islamic world facing Iran. The border between Iran and Iraq has collapsed. And what is happening now is that the influence of Mr. Sistani in the Islamic world, the Shiite world, is much more important than Khamenei. There is a competition between Najaf and Qom. What is the influence of Hezbollah, of Iran on the Hezbollah? It is important. But now the influence of Hezbollah on the clerics on Iran is much more important than the reverse. So Iran now is facing a feedback of its action in the Islamic world. Iran is going back to its own borders. After having 30 years of expansion in the Islamic world, Iran now is facing the comeback. And we cannot compare, of course, Najaf and Qom. Qom was just built up 1 century ago, and less than 1 century ago. Najaf has a history of centuries. So the fourth consequence of this Islamic legacy, Islamic action, is that Iran has made a new religious minority. We are speaking about Jews, about Christians, about Zoroastrian, about Baha'is, and so on. But the most important minority are the Sunnis. And they are 5 million people. And they have no rights. The Jews have some rights. The Christians have rights. The Zoroastrians have rights. The Baha'i not. But they are 300,000. The Sunni are really a new political problem. And the Islamic Republic have done that. And they have to face with that. And that's one of the major questions and the major challenge. It is the feedback coming after the expansion of Islam in Iran, of the Islamist sphere in Iran. It is way back. Third component of this Iranian legacy, the international circle, Esterial, independence. It is the most important fact as for Iran is the first motto of the Islamic Republic. Iran needed to be independent from the US, of course. And the first thing was they were, because of the coup d'etat of the 4th of November 1979 against the US with the hostage crisis, all this independence policy was focused on US and only on US. And that was one of the main failures of Iran policy. They are stick to the US instead of being independent in a large program. But however, the departure of the US Army in 1979 was, of course, a major change. But Iran is now free. And Iran is able to have multilateral relations. Russia, China, India, even countries of the Middle East, of the Islamic world, Europe, and even now Venezuela and other countries are having relations with Iran. And so it's a way for Iran to get some independence and not to face only the great Satan. This idea of independence, of course, is rooted in Iran, but is also a sort of paranoia. And the great Satan, of course, and Israel are so much important in the people ideas in many places of Iran. We can agree or disagree about whether Iranians are scared about Israel and they are feared and they are afraid by that or not. But matter of fact, Israel and the US as great Satans are important in Iran. And we have to deal with that and to find a solution. And even the regime change, this remains. It is a problem. Other consequences of this independence is a price to pay in economy. The sanctions and the fact Iran would want to be independent is that the consequence is that Iran is a very weak country in economy. Iran has the same structure of exports, excluding oil, that Iran had in the 16th century. Iran is exporting carpets and pistachios, exactly the same that Shah Abbas was doing in the 16th century. Iran is not able to produce and to export a bicycle. So it is a major fact that this independence, the price to pay was very high. International problems are, of course, the fact that in Iran, they have got now, instead of 170,000 students, 2.5 million students in Iran and 60% of girls. Iran has entered the international world. Iran is a country where modernization, where opening to the West, where science is very important. And so this participation, of course, with the female population, is one of the main legacy of these last years. It was not because or in spite of the Islamic Republic, but as a matter of fact. The question is that the current elite in Iran and the society in Iran is very far from reality. Iran, as a matter of fact, is a country which is a weak country, is a virtual country. We can see now Iran not as a large regional state. Iran is a country where today Iran is a virtual state. Iran knows the foreign countries through internet. Iran has contact with anybody in the world through the media, but no contact, no direct contact. There is no more than 3,000 foreigners living in Iran, 3,000 Western foreigners living permanently in Iran. Nothing. The largest company in Iran having families and children in Iran is Renault. They have got 55 engineers. That's all. It means that Iran has not the experience of outside world. There is no probability for a young engineer in Iran to meet in the street another engineer coming from France or Germany. So Iran is a country which is weak because they have no money to invest in oil. They cannot produce more than 4 million barrels a day. Iran is a country where the elite and the young students are going outside of the country. The brain drain is amazing. Iran is a country where they can discuss through internet, but making love with internet is very nice, but not very bringing great satisfaction. And Iran is a virtual country in many fields. Iran is a weak country. Potentially, Iran can have a bomb tomorrow morning. Tomorrow meaning in next years and the day after, in the next 5 years, I don't know. The potentiality of Iran are very large, as we know, especially because Iran, after the Islamic Revolution, wanted to be strong in international sphere. But as a matter of fact, Iran is a weak country. I would like to conclude on 2 points. The main point is that until now, Iran was not able to handle all these fears, national, Islamic, and international. And the question is that, who is able to do so? Is Islamic Republic able to change the virtuality and the potential they have in reality? Is Islamic Republic able to do so? I don't know. Who is able to do so among the candidates to the presidency? In my opinion, maybe none of them is able to take the power. None of them is a leader. And the problem in Iran is the lack of decision-making. During the last 30 years, and this is one of the legacy of the revolution, Iran was unable to take a strong decision. Oh, now Iran has to take decision. The message of Obama, the 1st of New Year of Iran, was the bomb in the heart of the Iranian political system. They have now to give an answer. Somebody has to take a decision. And Iran now has to take decision, and we are speaking about that in a comprehensive way, using the national identity of Iran, the Islamic one, international also, and to mix it together. Who is able to do so? I don't know. But these major legacies of revolution has to be now managed together, and I don't know exactly what can be done. Just to conclude one word. My friend Reza is going to Canada. My friend Reza is an engineer, he's an architect, he has got 2 children. He stayed in Iran for 30 years because he was the founder of the revolution. He would like to get the legacy of the revolution. It's their revolution for an independent country, for liberty, for social justice. He was waiting 30 years. He has seen the candidates of the presidency. He said, bye-bye. I go to Canada. That's all. Thank you.
Bernard, thank you for a very intriguing paper. I think only a Frenchman could get away with reference to lovemaking during an academic paper.